Hey everybody, I'm here this time to talk to you about a pretty nifty feature that is on the Asus ZenBook, and that is something that they call the ScreenPad, as you can see here. Now, I fried the HP laptop that I had because of a static charge that ran through the motherboard. It blew it out. It was not fixable, and I'm going to be doing some traveling over the summer. Hey, finally, right? Except it's for business. But I'm going to be doing some traveling over the summer. I needed a new laptop. I thought this ScreenPad thing was pretty nifty, and the salesman just happened to mention to me that they had one at 50% off because, as he said, it didn't come with any documentation. It was a floor model. And I thought that sounded like a good idea. Of course, I didn't notice that on the side of the box was a sticker that said, "Tested bad." But when I got it home, the ScreenPad was not working properly, but I got such a good deal, I was determined to fix it. And it took me a long time, but eventually, and in case you're having a similar problem, I had to roll back Windows to an earlier version and then update that version of Windows, and suddenly ScreenPad sprung to life. The other thing I wanted to say is that normally I have this phone that I use to make these videos mounted in a tripod, but because I'm going to be switching back and forth between the main screen here and the ScreenPad here, I'm actually just holding it in my hand. In fact, you can see the reflection of the tripod there in the background that I normally use. So hopefully that will be okay. It won't detract from the video too much overall. So I don't think it'll take too terribly long. The ScreenPad is a nifty idea, and it works generally well. There are a couple of design issues in it that I'm not a big fan of, but overall it's been a pretty fun thing so far. So the very first thing I would mention is that it's a 5.5-inch FHD display. That's 1920 by 1080 pixels. Remember those days of 1920 by 1080? We're never happy though. We needed more. Now we've got 4K and UHD and all of that. Those are two different things, incidentally. So if you would see a TV advertised as 4K UHD, it can't be both. It has to be one or the other. But anyway, this is a FHD. That's full high definition 1920 by 1080. And as you can see, I've got my verbatim mouse here, my $5 verbatim mouse that I got for this laptop. And what Windows does here anyway is it just treats the ScreenPad as a second screen. So if we slide the pointer down, it just comes down here onto the second screen. That's what it was doing when it wasn't working. There were no icons or anything. It was just a second screen. But if you've ever wanted a second screen on a laptop, it sort of works just as that. So for example, let's look over here. See this file I've got right here? This is the Three Little Bops, the classic Three Little Pigs cartoon that's set to a jazzy, bluesy kind of soundtrack. You remember this? So we'll drag it around. Now, if you notice this arrow and this thing here, I'm going to talk about those in just a minute. But here we are. Let's get to the fun part already, huh? There we go. Look at those guys go. So I'll turn the volume down a little bit. We don't want it to interfere too much. There we go. So if we just drag it down to the ScreenPad, it just clips down like that, and then we can maximize it, and it's like we've got a second screen. So if you just wanted another screen to watch videos on, you can drag a browser down there and watch YouTube videos or whatever you want to do, and it works very well for that, if that's the kind of thing. You know, if you're using a mouse and you're on the keyboard, it's like having a little screen. It's a nifty thing. And then when you're done with it, you can just, well, you could drag it, but you could also drag onto this little arrow and it'll come up here. So, all right, let's stop that. I think we've had enough of this. So you can just use it as a second screen. Now, let's go here to Opera GX. I've been testing this browser lately. I like it. You know how I feel about Chrome. So, but you know, it doesn't have to just be a video. Whatever you put down there is fully functional. You can use it however you want to use it. It's a fully functional second screen. So you could just drag apps back and forth if you were interested in doing that. All right, let me get it off the screen here. The other thing I will say is if you click on this thing, we don't even have to click on it, just release the mouse button and it'll transfer whatever application you've got down to the bottom screen there. But you can already see it starting to be outlined, see that? But if you drag it to this, it will add it as an application that you can start just by tapping on it. See there? So now we can just click on that or tap on it, and it will start the browser or whatever application it is you've added to the screen. Now to get rid of that, you just long press on the icon, click the X, and you're good. One of the big complaints I have about this is if we do that again, like if we wanted to get rid of WinWord or PowerPoint, you can see WinWord, I'm calling it by its name. If we wanted to get rid of Word or PowerPoint or Excel or Outlook, which I added to this screen, you can, but you can't get rid of Slide Expert, Doc Expert, Sheet Expert, Quick Key, Handwriting, Number Key. You can only get rid of some of these. That's the really big complaint I have about this thing. So let's click off of those, and then we'll come over here and we'll start our ScreenPad journey on this side. So you can see it says tap, or you can also click on the plus to capture a group of windows. So up here on the screen, I have the Opera browser, and we'll start Notepad++ also, and I've got that up to illustrate a separate function in just a bit. But if you click on that, here you can see it says Opera browser, Notepad++. You can set up how you want them arranged in layout. You can add more to them. You can rename the group. I'm not going to do any of that. But then, and it doesn't have to be just two. If you have 3 or 4 or 5 windows open, it will add all open windows to the group. Then you say done, and now there they are. So if we minimize these, and just as an added bonus tip, you see this little vertical line right here next to the Action Center? You see that? If you click to the right of it, it will minimize all your windows. And we come back down here, clicking on this will open up the windows again. So it's a pretty nice thing. And I will also add that when you add just an individual app to the screen down here, it will maintain its position and where it is. So if it's a browser and you're halfway down the page, when you add that as an app to the ScreenPad, it will save that position. Okay. So before we get to some of these apps here, let me talk about these. This is a program that they have called My Asus, and it really has done nothing for me. So here it is. I have it up and running already. If we go to the home page, you can see it says your system's up to date, one-click diagnosis, contact Asus. It gives some other functionality here, but I found this completely meaningless. Here apparently you can link it to your phone and mirror the phone screen on your laptop or on the ScreenPad down here. I was never ever able to get this to work. You have to download a separate app on your phone, you have to link them up, you have to do all of that kind of thing. I never got it working. It never functioned properly. I found it a complete waste of time. And frankly, I've just got other tools that will do the same thing. This says customization, which also has features that are just built into Windows anyway. Here's some promotions from Asus. I don't know, maybe people would be interested in that. And then I don't think I need to tell you about Asus customer support. It is not very good. So I didn't find any real use for that. But if you use it and it works for you, then more power to you. This thing right here, and I'm using the mouse, remember, but you can tap on these or whatever. This turns it into an actual mouse pad. So you could use it that way if you wanted to. And I have used it a little bit. It's very responsive. It works well. I'm happy with that. This takes you back to home. This here is supposed to be recent items, but I've never actually had any recent items show up on that. So I'm not sure where that's going. Here you can do App Navigator, and that allows you to do some configurations as to what's on the main display and what's on the ScreenPad. Again, I suppose it's nice functionality, but it's not something I would ever need because I do these exact things just a different way that actually work better for me. So I didn't see any real need for that. And then we have to click back this way. All right. And again, if we click on these settings, task group capture, that's what we saw on the other screen where we were grouping applications together. And then here you can lock the ScreenPad. This bumps this thing up to there. So you could do that if you wanted to, and then clicking on this drops it back down to here. The customization feature, the settings feature, I don't use it all that much, but you can configure some aspects of the ScreenPad here. All right, I also wanted to mention that if you swipe in from the right-hand side, as you can see, it will, oops, hold on. If you swipe in from the right-hand side, it'll open your message center like that, and another swipe will close it. And swiping in from the left will give you your desktop and your timeline. I think I already mentioned that, actually. Swipe off. Okay, so let's talk about these things here. Number key is pretty self-explanatory. It's a number key. This laptop actually has a number pad on it, but these keys are small. I mean, as you can see, just compared to my own fingers, your fingers are cramped using them. I mean, it works and it's functional, but this is a nice thing to have also if you just needed to do some fast calculations, perhaps. Handwriting is an interesting one, and this is the reason that I brought up Notepad++, as you can see right there. So with handwriting, if we click on that, I should have just tapped on it since I'm going to have to handwrite. What it will do, it's like handwriting recognition, but when I write, I tend to write in all capitals. So if I write, "Hey you," to quote Pink Floyd, "Hey you, comma," whoops, and it will actually scroll to the left as you're writing. But you can see it doesn't recognize what I wrote at all. It has no clue what I was doing. So I'm going to tap off of that. Let's try it again, though. Let's say H-E-Y. I never, ever write in lowercase, but let me do that and see if it can recognize. Oh, it does. Hey, you. All right. So if I tap on that, it will then transcribe it to whatever text editor, whether it's Word or Notepad++ or whatever it is. It will just transfer that up to the document. I find this incredibly inefficient. I don't know why anybody would use this. It's an interesting novelty, but as an actual useful tool, I don't find it to be all that effective or efficient or productive. So I don't ever use it. But it does, I mean, it does do what it claims it will do. Here's Quick Key. This allows you to set key combinations to carry out various tasks. It's essentially setting up a macro. So you can do that, and then just clicking on one of these or tapping on one of these will carry out the macros function. Now, here with Slide Expert, Doc Expert, Sheet Expert, if we start WinWord, for example, right, here we go, and then I will get this blank document going. All right. Down here, if we start Doc Expert, for example, it just gives some features that you have in Word anyway. And so I like that they did this, but I also have not found this to be terribly useful. This inserts page numbers and does it very accurately, so that would actually be useful. I remember when writing my dissertation, and I had to have my page numbers arranged in a very specific way, and I mean, it took me 2 weeks to get it right. So I was ready to drop out and go work at Denny's, but thankfully my PhD advisor set me straight. So it is neat. It's just like a very, very limited version of the toolbar, of the taskbar in Word. And it's got, I mean, it has some other features. This will minimize the taskbar on the screen and so on, viewing. I just didn't find it that useful, but other people may. I really don't like the fact that you can't get rid of them. You can't edit them, at least not as far as I have found. And then if we scroll over here, I have Notepad++ and Opera up and running, and you can just click whichever one you want to add to ScreenPad, and it will do that. And now it will be added, just like that, see? And then you click on it, and it starts. So that is actually all that I wanted to show you, a very brief overview of the ScreenPad functionality on the Asus ZenBook. It's a nifty thing to have. It's a nice thing to have. I've actually used it as a screen just to have a video going on. And I have also used some of the other features and functions that it has. By the way, app deals and quick guide I also found to be absolutely unnecessary. App deals is similar to the deals that we saw in the Link to My Asus app, and quick guide has just a couple of videos, and they're only about 15 seconds long. So again, not very useful. But I do like the idea of it. I like the idea of being able to launch apps from the second screen. You can keep adding apps. You can add apps all over the place. You can have pages and pages of them, just like you do on your tablet or your phone, if you need them. And I like that. I don't know how often I would use it, to be perfectly honest, but I do like the ability to do that. And so there you go. There's the overview of the ScreenPad. If you were interested in this, or wondered how it worked, or wondered about its functionality, or what the deal was, there you go. I hope that was informative, and I will see you next time.